What is going on, everyone? I've seen this question being floated around. Should the Houston Texans consider resting key starters these final 3 games of the season to ensure that the Houston Texans are 100% healthy in the postseason? Now, the reason why this question is being asked is because the AFC South is locked up. The Houston Texans are going to be in the playoffs no matter what happens against the Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, or Tennessee Titans. Another reason why the question is being asked because currently the Houston Texans are the 4th seed in the AFC. And realistically, when you look at number 1 and number 2, those are pretty much locked up. It's either going to be Kansas City 1, Buffalo 2, or that switched around. Number 3 currently is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and there's not a difference, 3 and 4 in my opinion, besides playing the lower seeds. So the question needs to be asked. Should the Houston Texans consider resting some of their banged up players, some of their key starters to make sure we're healthy come postseason time? I'm going to give you my thoughts. This episode is brought to you and powered by BetUS. Ladies and gentlemen, they're giving you a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. On your second and third deposit, it's a 125% bonus. Promo code YouTube150 gets it done. BetUS. 24-hour payouts, 24-hour customer service, where the game begins. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the driving factors to why some fans think that the Houston Texans should rest some players for the playoffs is because realistically, there might be no movement in terms of seeding. The Texans might just end up being the 4th seed. But let me give you some Houston Texans playoff scenarios brought to you by Will Kunkel. If the Houston Texans want the 3rd seed, they'll need to win 2 out of their last 3. 2 of them have to be a win against the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens also have to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. That guarantees you the number 3 seed in the AFC. If the Houston Texans want the number 2 seed, they have to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, Tennessee Titans. They have to win their last 3 games. They also need the Buffalo Bills to lose 2 out of their last 3 games, and 2 out of the last 3 games, the Bills are playing against the New England Patriots. And then you also need a Pittsburgh Steelers loss to guarantee you the 2nd seed in the AFC. A lot of things need to happen if the Houston Texans want to move up in terms of seeding. So this is one of the factors why some fans are saying if you're going to be the 4th seed and there's going to be no movement, then just rest some players. You heard my co-host on the Twin Toros podcast, Nick Stevenson, say winning these next 3 games, mean nothing for the Houston Texans, and we will be kicking ourselves in the ass if we lose a key starter in the final 3 games of the season and not have them ready for the postseason. Now, I don't live in a world like that where I think the world is going to fall apart. At the end of the day, you go out there to play the football game. And I understand where Nick Stevenson is coming from. Shout out to my guy. When I look at this Houston Texan offense, in my opinion, they don't deserve a break. We have not seen a full game of complimentary Houston Texans football from this offense. You have a new starting offensive line, Laramie Tunsil at left tackle, Titus Howard at left guard, Jared at center, Shaq Mason at right guard, rookie Blake Fisher at right tackle. That unit does not deserve a break. They need to keep on playing with each other, getting comfortable with each other, so that once the postseason hits, they're ready to go. The only player who I think needs a rest on the offensive side of the ball is Joe Mixon. And that is because of the hip drop tackle, which was not called, by the way, against the Miami Dolphins. And we saw him limping after. He was not the same after that tackle. Joe Mixon is very important to this Houston Texan offense. You heard me say that if Joe Mixon Nico Collins, CJ Stroud. If one of those three aren't going, it is going to be hard for the Houston Texans to win a football game. Now, Joe Mixon said earlier today that he expects to play against the Kansas City Chiefs, which brings me into my next point. We've been talking about these 3 games since the season schedule came out, but why we were talking about these 3 games the last couple of weeks is because of the opportunity for the Houston Texans to stack wins against good teams. You've heard me say we are going to be talking different about the Houston Texans if they beat the Miami Dolphins, if they beat the Kansas City Chiefs or Baltimore Ravens. We sneak back in to that contender conversation. Also, we heard that Patrick Mahomes was a full participant today in practice also. I just don't think the Houston Texans are in a position to rest anyone right now. I mean, I understand the thought process. You want everyone 100% ready come postseason time. But given the fact that, man, there are still so many question marks surrounding this Houston Texan offense, they need these games to get this offense back on track. Now, on the defensive side, I mean, you got Christian Harris working his way back. He needs to be out there. When it comes to the defense, guys, do you want to see them rest against Pat Mahomes, against Lamar Jackson? Now, I'm all fine for resting everyone against the Tennessee Titans. I really am. But these next 2 games, man, they're really important for the Houston Texans, not only in terms of just how big of a win it'll be for the team, but just the confidence overall. If you go into the playoffs with a win over Miami, a win over either Kansas City or Baltimore in the last month of the season, you're feeling like you could win the whole damn thing. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you. Should the Houston Texans consider resting some of their starters in these next 3 weeks, given the fact that the AFC division is already wrapped up, meaning the Houston Texans have their postseason ticket punched, no matter what happens these last 3 games? Guys, this episode is brought to you and powered by BetUS. Do not forget 24-hour quick payouts, 24-hour customer service where the game begins. Do me all a favor. Have a very blessed day.